New York City, a place where dreams are either made or broken. The city never sleeps, the lights never fade, the streets never slow down, and every year when late summer arrives, the entire tennis world turns its eyes toward one place. The US Open, the roar of Arthur Ashe Stadium, the flashing cameras, the celebrities, the pressure, the history. And this year, walking into that storm is one of the most exciting young players in world tennis. A fearless left-handed star from the Philippines, a player who has spent the last several months rewriting expectations. Her name is Alex Eala, and she is not arriving in New York quietly. Just days earlier, Alex had experienced one of the most painful defeats of her season. Her incredible winning streak had come to an end in Cincinnati after a dramatic battle against one of the toughest players on the WTA Tour. For many athletes, a loss like that can stay in your mind. It can follow you onto the plane. It can sit beside you in the hotel room. It can make you question everything. But Alex Eala did not come to New York to look backward. She came to look forward, because sometimes the difference between a good player and a truly special one is not how they celebrate victory. It is how quickly they rise after defeat. Alex packed her bags. She left Cincinnati behind. She boarded a flight, and she headed straight toward the biggest challenge of her career, New York City, the US Open, and a chance to prove once again that her story is far from finished. But when Alex finally arrived, something happened that nobody expected. Something that turned an ordinary airport arrival into a moment that felt almost cinematic. Hundreds of fans were waiting. Philippine flags were waving. Her name echoed through the terminal. Signs were raised into the air. Phones were recording. And then, standing among the crowd, was someone whose presence sent shockwaves through the tennis world. One of the greatest champions the sport has ever seen. A legendary figure, a woman whose name has been connected with tennis greatness for generations. And suddenly, Alex Eala's arrival in New York became something much bigger than a trip to another tournament. It became a statement, a message, a moment that seemed to say one thing loud and clear. Alex Eala has arrived, not just in New York, but on the world stage. The girl from the Philippines who refused to stop dreaming before the stadiums, before the headlines, before the packed crowds and international attention. Alex Eala was simply a young girl with a dream that seemed almost impossible. She came from a country that had never been known as a traditional powerhouse in professional tennis. The Philippines had produced great athletes, champions in boxing, stars in basketball, heroes in many different sports. But tennis, the road to the top was much harder to see. There was no simple path, no guarantee. No map showing exactly how a young Filipina player could one day stand across the net from the greatest athletes in the world. But Alex saw something that many people could not see. She saw possibility, and she was willing to work for it. That is what makes her journey so remarkable. Because talent alone does not take a player from childhood dreams to the world's biggest stadiums. Talent gets your attention, but sacrifice keeps you moving. And Alex has spent years making sacrifices that most people will never fully understand. Long hours of training, time away from home, moments of doubt, painful defeats, pressure, travel, expectations. Every step of the way, there were opportunities to stop, to slow down, to choose something easier. But she kept going. And now, at just 21 years old, Alex Eala is no longer being discussed as simply a promising young player. She is becoming one of the most fascinating stories in world tennis. A player capable of walking into a stadium and changing the entire atmosphere. A player capable of drawing thousands of fans. A player who has made millions of Filipinos believe that the impossible might actually be possible. And as Alex stepped onto American soil for the US Open, that belief followed her. The Cincinnati heartbreak. But the journey to New York had not been perfect. Just days earlier, Alex had been riding an incredible wave of momentum. She had been playing some of the best tennis of her career. Her confidence was growing, her ranking was rising, and with every victory, the expectations around her seemed to become even bigger. Then came Cincinnati, and waiting on the other side of the net was Amanda Anisimova. Anisimova is one of the most talented and dangerous players in women's tennis. Powerful, aggressive, fearless. A player who can completely change the direction of a match with just a few explosive shots. And when she faced Alex, the match quickly became a battle. Alex came out strong, focused, determined. She took the opening set and looked ready to continue her remarkable run. For a moment, it seemed like another huge victory might be coming. But tennis can change in an instant. Momentum can disappear, confidence can shift, and suddenly, the player who looks unstoppable can find herself fighting for survival. Anisimova fought back. The second set slipped away. Then, even when Alex appeared to have created an opportunity in the deciding set, the match turned again. Anisimova found another level. The pressure increased, and eventually, Alex's incredible winning streak came to an end. It was painful. There is no reason to pretend otherwise. When you have worked for something, when you have built momentum, when you can almost feel another big victory within reach, losing hurts. But what happened next may have revealed even more about Alex Eala than another victory could have. She did not disappear. She did not make excuses. She did not allow one defeat to become the entire story of her season. Instead, she packed her bags, and she moved forward. Because the US Open was waiting, and Alex Eala had unfinished business. New York was calling. There are tournaments, and then there is the US Open. The difference is impossible to explain unless you have experienced it. New York has a different energy. Everything feels louder, faster, bigger, more intense. The crowds are unpredictable. The nights are electric. And Arthur Ashe Stadium is one of the most intimidating places in all of sports. Some players arrive in New York and feel the pressure immediately. Others see the bright lights and come alive. For Alex Eala, this tournament represented another opportunity. Another chance to test herself against the best. Another chance to write a new chapter in a career that seems to be moving faster with every passing month. But she was not coming to New York for only one event. Alex had a packed schedule ahead: the singles competition, mixed doubles, special appearances, new experiences, new challenges, and a possible chance to share the court with another major star of the sport. Everywhere she looked, something was happening. The schedule was intense. The expectations were enormous. But if there is one thing Alex has shown throughout her career, it is that she does not run away from big moments. She walks directly toward them, and that is exactly what she was about to do in New York. Then the airport erupted the moment Alex walked through the arrival area. The atmosphere changed. This was not a quiet arrival. This was not a player slipping unnoticed through an airport terminal. People were waiting. Filipino flags filled the crowd. Fans held signs. Others shouted her name. Some had been waiting for hours, and for Alex, it was impossible not to feel the emotion of the moment. Imagine that. You leave your home country years earlier with a dream. You train, you sacrifice, you lose, you win, you keep fighting. And then, one day, you arrive in one of the biggest cities in the world, and people are waiting just to catch a glimpse of you. That is when you understand something. Your journey is no longer yours alone. It belongs to everyone who believed in you, everyone who watched, everyone who stayed awake to follow your matches, everyone who waved a Philippine flag in a stadium thousands of miles away from Manila. Alex Eala had become more than a tennis player to many of those fans. She had become a symbol of possibility. And then came the moment nobody could have predicted. The crowd began to part, and standing there was a legendary figure from the world of tennis, a champion who had spent decades defining greatness, a player whose achievements had inspired generations. For Alex, seeing someone of that stature waiting to welcome her was almost impossible to process. It was one of those moments when the noise around you seems to disappear. The cameras, the fans, the airport, everything. For a second, it becomes just one simple realization. You are standing in front of someone you once watched from a distance, and now that person knows your name. That is when Alex's journey suddenly felt even more real. The respect of a legend. In sports, there are many forms of recognition: a ranking, a trophy, a championship, a sponsorship deal, a headline. But sometimes, respect from someone who has already reached the highest level means something different, because legends understand what young athletes are going through. They understand the pressure. They understand the criticism. They know how difficult it is to survive in professional sports. And they also know what greatness looks like before everyone else recognizes it. That is why this moment was so powerful. Alex Eala was not being welcomed simply because she had become popular. She was being recognized because of what she represented: hard work, courage, potential, and a new generation of tennis. Of course, respect does not mean pretending that a young player is perfect. Alex still has areas where she can improve. Every great player does: the serve, the ability to control points even more aggressively, finding ways to create easier opportunities under pressure, using her natural advantages to become even more dangerous. Those are the details that could eventually separate a very good player from a truly dominant one. And perhaps that is one of the most exciting things about Alex Eala's story. She has already accomplished so much, but she is still developing, still learning, still changing, still improving. The player we see today may not even be close to the player she becomes in the future. And that should be a frightening thought for the rest of the tour, because Alex is already capable of competing with elite players. Imagine what happens when every part of her game becomes stronger. The EALA effect. Wherever Alex goes, something unusual seems to happen. The crowds grow, the flags appear, the energy changes. Fans who may have never followed tennis suddenly start watching. Families gather around televisions, young children begin picking up tennis rackets, and around the world, Filipinos are finding a new reason to pay attention to the sport. That kind of connection cannot be manufactured. You cannot simply create it with advertising. You cannot force it with marketing. A real connection happens when people see something in an athlete that feels personal. Alex's fans see determination. They see humility. They see someone who comes from their country and is standing on the same courts as the greatest players in the world. And suddenly, tennis feels closer. The dream feels more possible. That is the real power of Alex Eala. Her success is not measured only by matches. It can also be measured by inspiration. How many young players will watch her at the US Open and decide to try tennis? How many young girls will look at Alex and think, "Why not me?" How many families will begin supporting a dream they might once have considered impossible? Those questions may be impossible to answer today. But years from now, the impact could become obvious, because one athlete can change the direction of an entire generation. A new challenge, a new partner. New York also brought another exciting opportunity. A different challenge. Mixed doubles, a chance for Alex to share the court with Canadian star Felix Auger-Aliassime. It was a fascinating combination. Two talented young players, two athletes with different styles, different experiences, but the same goal: to compete, to win, and to enjoy one of the most unique stages in tennis. Mixed doubles can be unpredictable. The rhythm is different. The strategy changes. The chemistry between partners can become just as important as individual talent. For Alex, it was another opportunity to grow, another experience to carry into the future, because at this stage of her career, every big match matters. Every difficult situation teaches something. Every loss can reveal a weakness, and every victory can build belief. Alex was entering New York with all of that experience behind her: the heartbreak, the momentum, the pressure, the victories, and the expectations of an entire nation. The pressure of being a national hero. This is something people sometimes forget. When Alex steps onto the court, she is not playing only for herself anymore. Millions of people are watching. And that kind of attention can be both beautiful and difficult. Every win becomes a celebration. Every loss becomes a national disappointment. Every match creates new headlines. Every word gets analyzed. The bigger she becomes, the more difficult it will be to simply disappear and play without expectations. But perhaps that is where Alex's greatest challenge will come. Not from her forehand, not from her backhand, not even from her serve, but from learning how to carry expectation without allowing it to become a burden. The greatest champions learn how to do this. They learn how to walk into the biggest stadiums while millions of people expect them to win, and somehow they still play freely. That may be the next stage of Alex Eala's evolution. The world is no longer surprised when she wins. Now people expect her to win, and expectations can change everything. But if Alex can continue playing with the same courage that brought her here, the future could be extraordinary. From Cincinnati pain to New York hope. This is why the loss in Cincinnati may eventually become more important than people realize. Not because losing is something to celebrate, but because defeat reveals character. Anybody can smile after winning. The real test comes after losing. What do you do next? Do you question yourself? Do you become afraid? Do you play more cautiously? Or do you get back on the plane, arrive in a new city, and prepare to fight again? Alex chose the second option. She moved forward. And now, the US Open stands in front of her. A new draw, new opponents, new pressure, new possibilities. Everything that happened before is history. Cincinnati is over. The winning streak is over. The disappointment is over. What matters now is the next match, the next point, the next opportunity. And that is exactly how champions think. The dream of Arthur Ashe Stadium. There is something special about Arthur Ashe Stadium. It is enormous. It is intimidating. And when the lights come on at night, it becomes one of the most spectacular stages in sports. Every player dreams of walking into that arena, but dreaming about it and actually doing it are two very different things. For Alex Eala, standing in that environment represents everything she has worked toward. Years of preparation, thousands of hours, millions of shots, victories nobody expected, defeats that hurt more than anyone will ever know. And now, New York, the US Open, the opportunity to show the world that she belongs, not someday, not in the distant future, now. And perhaps that is why the arrival felt so emotional, because everyone watching Alex's journey understands what is happening. This is no longer just about potential. The future is arriving. The legendary welcome was a message. The welcome Alex received in New York was about more than fans and cameras. It represented recognition. Recognition that her journey matters. Recognition that she has already changed something in the sport. Recognition that a young woman from the Philippines has become impossible to ignore. And perhaps the most beautiful part is that Alex has not forgotten where she came from. Despite the growing attention, despite the ranking, despite the crowds, despite the headlines, she continues to carry herself with humility. She understands that the work is not finished. In fact, the work may only be getting harder, because now every opponent knows who she is. Every opponent prepares for her. Every tournament understands the attention she brings, and every major match will come with greater expectations. But that is the price of becoming a star, and Alex Eala appears ready to pay it. The US Open. Chapter begins. So now the story moves forward. The airport celebration is over, the photos have been taken, the fans have gone home, the flags have been folded, and eventually, Alex will walk back onto a practice court. Because behind every magical moment is the work nobody sees. The training, the repetitions, the recovery, the strategy meetings, the preparation, the quiet hours when nobody is cheering. That is where champions are built. And that is where Alex Eala will return. Because New York may be ready to celebrate her. But Alex is not in New York just to be celebrated. She came here to compete. She came here to fight. And most importantly, she came here to win. The journey from the Philippines to the world's biggest stages has already been remarkable. But something tells you the biggest chapters have not been written yet. The trophies she dreams about are still waiting. The matches she has yet to play are still ahead. The records she could break remain untouched. And somewhere, perhaps in a stadium filled with Philippine flags, another unforgettable moment may be waiting. Because Alex Eala has already shown us one thing. Never count her out. Not after a defeat. Not when the pressure rises. Not when the expectations become overwhelming. Because every time the world wonders whether this is the moment her momentum will slow down, Alex seems to find another reason to fight. Another reason to believe, another reason to keep going. From the courts where her dream began, to the biggest stadium in New York City, her journey continues, and now the entire tennis world is watching. The fans are ready, the lights are on, the US Open is here, And Alex Eala is ready to write the next chapter. Will this be the tournament where she delivers another historic performance? Will New York become the stage for another unforgettable breakthrough? Will the young star from the Philippines continue her incredible rise? We are about to find out, because this story is not over, not even close. This is only the beginning. Your channel name here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. Tell us what you think Alex Eala can achieve at the US Open and how far you believe she can go in her incredible career. Watch this video all the way through, share it with every tennis fan you know, and don't forget to subscribe for more exciting stories, breaking tennis news, emotional moments, and incredible journeys from the world of tennis. More amazing videos are coming, so make sure you subscribe and stay tuned.